Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Imagine discovering that the ordinary-looking 5-cent coin sitting silently in your pocket, your drawer, or the bottom of an old forgotten jar is secretly one of the most astonishing pieces of modern American numismatic history, a coin that has shocked collectors, stunned experts, and turned everyday finders into instant headlines. And today we are diving into the unbelievable story of the 2012 Jefferson nickel that has been associated with a staggering face value of $75 million in the world of collectors, a number so overwhelming that people struggle to believe it until they hear how a combination of minting errors, microscopic mistakes, production anomalies, unexpected metal shifts, and ultra-rare planchet defects created one of the most mesmerizing what-if valuation scenarios ever attached to a modern 5-cent coin. And as we explore the mysterious possibilities behind this extraordinary figure, you will understand exactly why collectors chase this coin with unmatched excitement, why it has become a viral sensation on every coin forum and social media platform, and why the hunt for the 2012 nickel has transformed ordinary viewers into passionate treasure seekers who examine every nickel in circulation with fresh curiosity, because hidden in the details of this seemingly common coin lies a story filled with speculation, rarity, misstrikes, die issues, and minting circumstances that combine to form a narrative collectors cannot ignore. The year 2012 might seem ordinary in the timeline of U.S. coinage, but subtle events inside the Philadelphia Mint have fueled endless discussions among numismatists who insist that a small batch of 2012 nickels may have escaped the facility with unique errors that defy typical minting behavior, and the intrigue begins with the planchet, because several reports and collector rumors point toward an unusual alloy mixture, microscopic texture inconsistencies, and pressure abnormalities that could have caused select coins to deviate from the standard composition expected in the Jefferson nickel series, and when a planchet begins in an irregular condition, every strike thereafter becomes a playground for error development. Mint pressure can distribute the metal unevenly, the design elements can stretch or collapse, and critical details like Jefferson's bust, the word Liberty, the date, and Monticello can warp into shapes never intended by the minting engineers. Numismatists digging through high-resolution microscopes have claimed that some 2012 nickels display faint doubling on the obverse, especially around Jefferson's eye and jawline, suggesting the possibility of a double die. Others believe they have detected die deterioration doubling caused by excessive wear on the dies during unusually high production cycles, while a smaller group argues that a hypothetical master die vibration during production could have created a theoretical class of ultra-rare doubled images that were quickly corrected by the mint, leaving only a handful of surviving anomalies lost in circulation. And this notion of ultra-short-run errors is foundational to understanding how extreme valuations like $75 million gain viral traction in the digital collecting world. The reverse of the 2012 nickel adds to this mythology because Monticello, with its delicate architecture and sharp lines, is notoriously sensitive to die cracks, die chips, and improper metal flow, and several collectors have reported seeing strange raised lines near the dome, fractured patterns near the steps, and unusually thick letters in the inscriptions, all of which contribute to theories that some dies used during this period may have sustained unnoticed damage, resulting in rare varieties that remain almost impossible to confirm until the perfect specimen is discovered, catalogued, authenticated, and thrust into the spotlight, inevitably causing its value to skyrocket beyond anything previously imagined, since collectors place tremendous value on the first documented example of any new major mint error. The buzz around the 2012 nickel also comes from stories of off-center strikes, though no certified major off-center specimen has yet appeared. However, speculative discussions persist because the Philadelphia Mint produced billions of coins in the surrounding years, and during peak production periods machinery misalignment becomes more likely, which in turn fuels the belief that somewhere out in the world, possibly sitting unnoticed in a household container or mixed into pocket change, there could be a dramatically off-center 2012 nickel with partial missing inscriptions, crooked design placement, or visible blank planchet surface on one side, all of which could elevate its rarity status beyond imagination and justify the enormous valuation figures that collectors like to attach to hypothetical perfect condition anomalies. Another factor behind the sensational $75 million valuation is the concept of the impossible grade, meaning the theoretical discovery of a flawless 2012 P nickel graded MS-70 by a major grading company, and because modern nickels are prone to contact marks, die fatigue, strike softness, and nickel metal surface scuffing. A perfect grade is considered a near impossible achievement, and in numismatic culture, the first and only MS-70 example of any modern circulating coin can command astronomical attention, with collectors and investors bidding competitively simply because such a coin becomes the pinnacle of its entire production year, representing the highest possible condition rarity, the perfect survivor among hundreds of millions, and the only one of its kind, driving speculative values into extreme territory. Additionally, discussion surrounding experimental or transitional planchets occasionally resurfaces in collector communities, with some enthusiasts proposing the theoretical possibility that a small number of 2012 planchets intended for research or internal testing may have accidentally entered circulation, and although there is no official documentation supporting this claim, the mere idea of a uniquely alloyed Jefferson nickel from 2012 instantly transforms into a high-stakes treasure hunt. And in the world of coin collecting, even whispers of such scenarios can inflate hypothetical valuations to dramatic levels because collectors love the idea of holding something the mint never intended the public to own. The cultural and viral appeal of the 2012 P nickel also plays a significant role in its legendary value because modern online platforms amplify stories of rare coins, error discoveries, auction surprises, and jaw-dropping collector finds, and as these stories trend, they ignite massive waves of interest that boost perceived value, create hype cycles, and spark widespread searching, and the 2012 P nickel has become one of the coins that repeatedly returns to viral rotations thanks to its mysterious reputation, its error-filled speculations, and its potential for becoming a shocking historical discovery should the right collector uncover the right coin at the right moment. Every detail, whether it is the sharpness of Jefferson's jaw, the clarity of the inscriptions, the presence or absence of die cracks, the depth of the Monticello steps, or the subtle variance in metal tone, becomes a subject of obsessive analysis for collectors who believe they might have discovered something extraordinary, and this relentless search intensifies the mythology surrounding the coin, because the more people look, the more they talk, and the more they talk, the more the legend of the $75 million 5-cent piece grows into one of the most captivating stories in modern coin lore. Although the U.S. Mint never announced any rare variety for the 2012 P nickel, the combination of observable minor errors, speculative minting circumstances, unverified collector claims, and the deeply ingrained human desire to uncover life-changing treasure has created a perfect storm in which this coin thrives as a symbol of hope, mystery, and the endless potential hidden in small everyday objects. And that is why collectors continue flipping through nickels with heightened excitement, knowing that even the smallest error, whether it is a clipped planchet, a tilted die strike, a die polishing mark, or a misaligned die, could mean the difference between face value and a collector's dream, and as long as rare error hunting remains a thrilling pursuit, coins like the 2012 P nickel will continue to dominate conversations, inspire treasure hunters, and fuel the imagination of millions who believe that life-changing surprises may still be found in the simplest places. So if you ever come across a 2012 P nickel, do not underestimate it. Examine every edge, every letter, every curve, every texture, and every tiny imperfection because hidden within what looks like a regular 5-cent coin could be the key to one of the greatest discoveries in numismatic history, a coin that has become a viral phenomenon, a subject of endless fascination, and a symbol of the extraordinary possibilities hidden in everyday change. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of rare coins and the thrilling mystery behind the legendary 2012 P nickel supposedly valued at $75 million, make sure to like the video, share it with other treasure hunters, and subscribe for more unbelievable coin stories that might just change the way you see your pocket change forever. Next, 1996 D 5-cent USA coin. Imagine finding a small, dull-looking nickel in your pocket and realizing that the coin you just tossed onto your table without a second thought could secretly be tied to a legendary $76 million valuation in the world of modern numismatics, a number so astonishing that collectors, investors, and casual viewers alike cannot help but sit up, stare, and wonder what on earth makes a 1996 D Jefferson 5-cent coin ignite such incredible curiosity and explosive viral hype. and today we are diving into the electrifying world of rare mint errors, historical minting anomalies, grading impossibilities, and collector speculation that has transformed this unassuming 5-cent coin minted in Denver into one of the most talked about pieces in modern coin lore. The very idea that a common circulating nickel could be linked to such a staggering value fuels a treasure-hunting frenzy across the country, pushing people to check their drawers, jars, pockets, glove compartments, and childhood coin stashes, because every time a story like this catches fire, millions wonder whether they might unknowingly hold the next numismatic miracle that changes their life forever. The 1996 D nickel appears simple at first glance, featuring Jefferson's familiar profile on the obverse and the equally familiar Monticello on the reverse, but collectors are not captivated by what is obvious. Instead, the fascination comes from what might exist beneath the surface, hidden in microscopic irregularities, subtle design distortions, metal inconsistencies, and theoretical minting errors that have become a foundation for one of the most dramatic modern valuation myths in the hobbies. History, and understanding this begins with the Denver Mint itself, which in the mid-1990s was operating at intense production speeds to keep up with national demand, leading to conditions in which striking pressure variations, die fatigue, misalignments, and minor planchet defects were far more likely to occur, especially in nickel coinage, which is notoriously hard on dies due to its metal composition and resistance to smooth metal flow during strikes. Many collectors claim that certain 1996 D nickels display faint doubling on the obverse, particularly around Jefferson's chin, collar, and the inscription, "In God We Trust," suggesting the possibility of a double die variety that may have slipped into circulation undetected by the mint, and although no officially recognized major double die has been documented for this year, the persistent reports, high-resolution images shared across forums, and debates among hobby specialists keep the mystery alive. And in the world of rare error coins, even the possibility of a new major double die is enough to spark intense speculation and increase the perceived value of the coin dramatically. Another reason the 1996 D nickel is wrapped in such viral energy is the number of unusual die cracks and die chips collectors have reported over the years, especially near Jefferson's hairline, around the rim, and across the steps of Monticello. Die cracks occur when a minting die starts to split or fracture due to repeated stress, causing raised lines of metal on the coin's surface. And while die cracks are not typically worth huge sums individually, the fascination of this particular year comes from examples that show multiple cracks intersecting, forming near-geometric patterns or creating distortions in design elements that appear almost intentional to the untrained eye, and such dramatic cracks become highly collectible when they appear prominently, cleanly, and in unique positions, as this type of anomaly can elevate even a modern circulation coin into something a collector wants to showcase. The biggest surge of excitement around the 1996 D nickel, however, comes from theories surrounding off-center strikes, a type of error that occurs when the blank planchet is not properly aligned under the striking dies, causing the design to print off-balanced, revealing partial blank space on the coin. Extreme off-center strikes can fetch thousands of dollars, especially if the date and mint mark remain visible, and because the Denver Mint experienced several alignment fluctuations in the surrounding years, collectors passionately believe that a yet undiscovered, dramatically off-center 1996 D nickel could exist in circulation or in someone's forgotten stash, and if such a specimen were found in exceptional condition, the combination of rarity, dramatic visual appeal, and collector hype could push its valuation into extreme theoretical ranges, feeding directly into the narrative that fuels the mythical $76 million idea. Another layer of fascination comes from potential wrong planchet errors, in which a coin is accidentally struck on a planchet intended for a different denomination. While none has been certified for the 1996 D nickel, collectors consistently propose the possibility that stray planchets from other coin types, such as dimes or foreign test pieces, could have ended up under the nickel dies. And if a dramatic wrong planchet example were ever discovered with a 1996 D date, the numismatic world would erupt, as wrong planchet errors for modern years are among the most sought-after finds in circulation because they combine mint error rarity with unmistakable visual shock value. Even the reverse of the 1996 D nickel holds enormous speculative attention as collectors debate the consistency of Monticello's steps, since fully struck steps, known as full steps, are extremely difficult to achieve due to the nickel alloy's resistance during striking. The extreme rarity of full steps coins in mint state conditions has always pushed collectors to pay large sums for sharp, perfectly struck nickels, and the idea that a 1996 D specimen with flawless full steps, perfect luster, no contact marks, and a theoretical MS-70 grade could exist has become another major component of the coin's extreme valuation myth, because the combination of condition rarity and error rarity results in a coin unlike anything else in its series. The concept of the impossible grade, the idea that a flawless MS-70 1996 D nickel could exist, is one of the hottest topics among collectors because nickel coins from the 1990s are especially prone to nicks, bag marks, metal abrasions, and strike softness, and the few surviving high-grade examples in the MS-67 or MS-68 range already command strong interest. Therefore, if the first and only MS-70 Jefferson nickel from this year were ever found, it would become a historic event, triggering headlines, auction wars, and viral videos, elevating it instantly into legendary status and fueling numbers that soar into the tens of millions simply because such a treasure represents the absolute pinnacle of minting perfection and survival rarity. Another major driver of the $76 million claim is the digital era's ability to turn numismatic stories into viral sensations overnight. Coin discoveries, auction surprises, and dramatic valuation claims spread rapidly through social media, collector channels, TikTok explainers, YouTube coin hunters, and online forums, and the 1996 D nickel has become a recurring star in this new age of numismatic storytelling, its reputation reborn year after year as new posts, theories, rumors, and speculative breakdowns appear, sparking massive searches among people who otherwise never cared about coins, and turning the 1996 D nickel into a symbol of hidden value in everyday life. Additionally, the presence of die polish lines, subtle mechanical doubling, rim distortions, and metal flow irregularities contribute to its mystique, with collectors constantly comparing specimens, debating authenticity, sharing microscope images, and arguing over what constitutes a true mint error versus ordinary wear or strike weakness. And these discussions only fuel the hype because the more complex a coin story becomes, the more attention it receives, and the more attention it receives, the larger the speculative value grows in numismatic culture. The belief that a once-in-a-lifetime specimen may still exist keeps collectors searching obsessively, examining every detail from the curvature of Jefferson's jaw to the sharpness of the Monticello pillars, from the clarity of the inscriptions to the shape of the rim, and from the angle of the mint mark to the presence of microscopic metal bubbles, each detail representing the possibility of uncovering something new, rare, or previously undocumented. And because error coins thrive on the unexpected, the thrill of discovering the next great variety is always alive, especially in modern denominations that millions overlook. Rumors of clipped planchets, extremely wide die cracks, tilted die strikes, misaligned dies, and partial collar strikes for the 1996 D nickel continue to circulate, each possibility adding another layer of intrigue to the coin's narrative and helping elevate its status as one of the most fascinating modern coin legends. And with every new story shared online, the mythos expands, creating a cultural phenomenon where the coin's speculative value grows almost independent of documented rarity. Driven instead by imagination, possibility, and the human desire to believe that extraordinary discoveries still exist in ordinary places. Next, 1997 D 5-cent USA coin, where we explore unbelievable discoveries hidden in everyday pocket change, and today's story might be the most astonishing one yet as we dive into the mysterious world of the 1997 D 5-cent coin, a coin that has shaken collectors, stunned historians, and captured the imagination of millions because of the extraordinary claims, rare possibilities, and shocking error-related myths that have pushed its speculative value into the jaw-dropping range of $77 million. And before you assume that such a number is too wild to be real, let's take a deep and carefully punctuated journey through the minting mistakes, production inconsistencies, theoretical anomalies, and documented error types that explain exactly why the 1997 D nickel has become one of the most talked about modern coins in the history of American numismatics. A coin that people now search for with unmatched determination every time they hear spare change rattling in their pockets. The Denver Mint produced hundreds of millions of nickels in 1997, and to an untrained eye they all appear identical, but collectors know that when huge volumes are produced at high speed, the perfect environment for errors forms, and this is where the legend of the 1997 D nickel begins, because the combination of die wear, planchet inconsistencies, striking pressure variations, and accidental mishandling inside mint machinery creates unpredictable results that sometimes lead to ultra-rare, highly valuable error coins that slip quietly into circulation. These coins later become the centerpieces of numismatic stories that spread like wildfire, especially when even the slightest possibility of a major undocumented error exists. One of the most discussed features of the 1997 D nickel is the potential for double die varieties, and while no officially certified major double die exists for this year, the persistent reports from collectors show faint doubling on Jefferson's profile, particularly around his eye, the curve of his jaw, the edge of his hairline, and the inscription, "In God We Trust." And this has led many specialists to believe that a subtle but extremely rare double die may have been produced early in the die's lifespan before the mint corrected the issue. This possibility alone fuels excitement because a newly discovered double die from a modern year can instantly become one of the most desirable finds in circulation, and depending on the strength of the doubling, the rarity of surviving examples, and the sharpness of the strike, the value can skyrocket to astonishing levels. Another area of intense fascination comes from die cracks and die chips, which are common in high-pressure minting environments, but collectors have noted unusually dramatic cracks on some 1997 D specimens, particularly near the rim, across Jefferson's collar, and on the steps of Monticello. When these cracks intersect or form recognizable shapes, they quickly gain collector attention. And the more visually striking the pattern, the more demand increases, especially when the crack is large, cleanly raised, and appears in a place that affects design integrity in a unique way, and enthusiasts often speculate that among the millions struck, a small number may show unusually massive die breaks that could place certain examples in a separate category of rarity. Minting errors such as off-center strikes add another layer to the massive valuation claim because off-center errors that retain a visible date and mint mark are extremely valuable, and an off-center strike of 20% or more instantly becomes a high-end collectible. Considering that the Denver Mint experienced occasional alignment fluctuations in several years throughout the 1990s, collectors strongly believe that major off-center 1997 D nickels exist somewhere in the wild, and the discovery of a pristine, dramatically off-center specimen could result in enormous auction attention, perhaps even pushing values into realms that match the $77 million myth when combined with hype, rarity, and perfect condition. Wrong planchet errors also play a significant role in the legendary value because they occur when a coin is struck on a blank intended for another denomination, and while no certified wrong planchet 1997 D nickel has surfaced, the possibility remains because nickels of this era were struck during periods of high production, meaning that the likelihood of a stray dime or foreign planchet slipping into the nickel press remains reasonable. A 1997 D nickel struck on a lighter dime planchet, for example, would be immediately noticeable by its weight and color, and such an error could command massive value at auction, especially if it remains sharply struck and fully readable, as wrong planchet errors for modern dates are incredibly rare and highly sought after. Another area of fascination comes from planchet flaws themselves, such as clipped planchets, lamination errors, or incomplete metal bonding. A clipped planchet results in a crescent-shaped cut missing from the coin's edge, and when the clip is clean, dramatic, and positioned near the date, collectors consider it especially valuable. Lamination errors occur when impurities or metal separation create peeling or raised textures on the surface, and when these errors occur near the portrait or Monticello, they create visually striking examples that high-grade collectors eagerly pursue. The reverse of the coin, depicting Monticello, has also been the center of immense discussion because the steps of Monticello are one of the most challenging areas to strike perfectly on any Jefferson nickel, and collectors obsess over full steps specimens, which show sharply defined, uninterrupted step lines. A 1997 D nickel with flawless full steps in an uncirculated state would already be highly prized, but combined with an additional error, such as die doubling, off-center placement, or a major die crack, it could become one of the most valuable modern Jefferson nickels ever discovered, fueling theories behind the $77 million figure. Another speculative factor relates to the idea of the impossible grade, which refers to the theoretical discovery of a perfect MS-70 example. Nickels from the 1990s often suffer from contact marks, friction abrasions, weak strikes, and metal flow lines, making high grades extremely scarce, and while MS-66 and MS-67 examples appear occasionally, the elusive MS-70 grade remains the dream of modern Jefferson collectors. The first and only MS-70 1997 D nickel would trigger absolute chaos in the numismatic world, leading to headlines, viral videos, intense auction competition, and a valuation that could reach previously unimaginable territory simply because it would represent the perfect survivor among hundreds of millions. Another fascinating element lies in die polishing marks, mint handling scars, and subtle rim distortions, which, though minor, become highly significant when they appear in unique combinations that set a coin apart from others of its year. Collectors have documented specimens showing unusually deep polishing streaks running across Jefferson's portrait and Monticello's pillars, which suggests that certain dies may have been aggressively resurfaced after heavy use, and coins struck early after. Such polishing can show sleek, reflective surfaces that enhance eye appeal and rarity. Additionally, the spread of digital content has contributed massively to the legend of the 1997 D nickel because social media platforms, YouTube channels, and online collector groups amplify the smallest discoveries into extraordinary stories, pushing coins with even minor anomalies into viral attention, and the 1997 D nickel repeatedly becomes the center of these wave cycles due to its intriguing appearance, its production era, and the fact that many of its known minor errors hint that major, yet undiscovered errors might still exist. People love the thrill of imagining that a life-changing treasure is hiding inside everyday pocket change, and the 1997 D nickel perfectly fits this narrative because it is common enough to remain circulating yet mysterious enough to spark dreams of finding a once-in-a-lifetime specimen. As these stories circulate, the coin's cultural value grows, and speculative valuations rise alongside them, creating a powerful combination of hype, hope, and numismatic excitement that keeps treasure hunters examining every nickel they find, especially those with the Denver mint mark. So the next time you come across a 1997 D nickel, do not dismiss it as ordinary. Examine the strike, the lettering, the portrait, the rim, the steps of Monticello, the weight, the alignment, and every microscopic detail, because hidden within what appears to be a simple 5-cent coin could be the key to one of the most shocking discoveries in modern coin history. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into the unbelievable possibilities behind the 1997 D nickel and its legendary $77 million claim, make sure to like the video, share it with fellow treasure hunters, and subscribe for more astonishing coin stories that might forever change the way you look at your pocket change. Next, 1987 D 5-cent USA coin, where we unlock the hidden world of rare coins and unbelievable treasures found in everyday pocket change, and today we are diving deep into one of the most astonishing stories in modern numismatics as we explore the legendary 1987 P 5-cent coin, a Jefferson nickel that has captured the imagination of collectors and treasure hunters around the world because of its extraordinary error possibilities, rare minting anomalies, and the incredible $78 million valuation that grows more viral every year. A valuation driven not by ordinary expectations but by the theoretical chance that the perfect combination of major mint errors, extreme rarity, and flawless condition might one day collide in a single surviving specimen from this otherwise common year, transforming it into one of the most valuable coins ever discussed in modern collecting history. When the Philadelphia Mint struck the 1987 nickel series, the machinery was operating with immense speed to meet national circulation needs, and whenever production intensity rises, so does the chance of unexpected mistakes. This creates a breeding ground for unusual planchet flaws, misaligned dies, deteriorated dies, striking pressure inconsistencies, and theoretical error combinations that collectors dream of discovering, and the 1987 P nickel has become famous because so many small anomalies have been documented across various specimens that collectors believe a handful of extraordinary, high-value errors may still be out there waiting to be found in jars, drawers, old collections, and forgotten change piles. One of the most significant topics surrounding the 1987 P nickel is the possibility of a doubled die variety, and although there is no officially recognized major doubled die for this year, collectors have repeatedly reported subtle doubling on Jefferson's portrait, especially near the curve of his jaw, the bottom of his hair, and parts of the word liberty, leading specialists to believe that early die states may have exhibited slight misalignment or hub slippage before the mint corrected the issue. Such a double die, if clearly defined and sharply struck, would instantly become one of the most valuable nickels of the decade, and this belief fuels endless searches, high-resolution inspections, and ongoing debates within numismatic communities. Another area of immense fascination lies in die cracks and die chips, which occur when minting dies begin to fracture under heavy pressure, and the 1987 P series is known for producing nickels with cracks near Jefferson's collar, across the rim, along the edge of Monticello, and in several specimens across the fields behind Jefferson's head. While minor cracks are common in many years, the 1987 P varieties sometimes show deeper, longer, and more dramatic cracks that collectors believe indicate that at least one die suffered significant structural stress during production, and if a coin showing an extreme die break, sometimes called a cud, were found in pristine condition with bold, clean details and minimal wear, it could easily command enormous value because such cuds are visually striking and extremely rare. Striking errors such as off-center coins also contribute to the enormous valuation myths attached to the 1987 P nickel because off-center strikes that retain a visible date and mint mark are highly desirable, especially when the strike is significantly shifted, 15%, 20%, or even more. And these errors often create dramatic visual distortions that collectors pay thousands of dollars to own. The idea that a sharply struck, dramatic off-center 1987 P nickel might exist in uncirculated condition is one of the strongest reasons behind the $78 million speculation, since the first discovery of such a major error could instantly trigger national interest, intense auction competition, and viral coverage from every corner of the numismatic world. Adding to this intrigue is the possibility of wrong planchet errors, a scenario in which the coin is struck on a blank intended for another denomination, and although none has been certified for the 1987 P nickel, collectors frequently speculate about stray dime or foreign planchets entering the striking chamber during this period, especially because the Philadelphia Mint was responsible for producing planchets and coins for multiple countries throughout the 1980s, finding a 1987 P nickel struck on a copper-plated zinc-cent planchet, a clad dime planchet, or an international planchet would create one of the most valuable modern mint errors imaginable, particularly if the coin displays full details, clear mint mark, a visible date, and strong luster. Another major area of collector obsession is the condition rarity of 1987 P nickels, since Jefferson nickels from the 1980s are notoriously difficult to find in flawless grades due to weak strikes, metal flow issues, contact marks, and die fatigue, and while MS-65 and MS-66 examples appear occasionally, the elusive MS-70 remains a theoretical rarity that has never been confirmed for this year. The possibility of discovering the first and only MS-70 specimen drives a huge amount of hype because a perfect grade would make the coin the finest known example of its year, instantly transforming it into a museum piece rarity capable of drawing astronomical bids at auction from high-end collectors who compete fiercely for Population 1 modern coins. Monticello, displayed on the reverse, presents another realm of possibilities because the steps of Monticello are extremely difficult to strike cleanly, and the Jefferson nickel community treasures full steps examples, which show sharp, uninterrupted step lines with no bridging or flattening. Full steps nickels from the 1980s are especially prized due to the widespread strike weakness during the era, and a 1987 P nickel with absolutely perfect full steps, flawless surfaces, sharp rims, and no contact marks would be a breakthrough discovery, and if that coin also contained a major error like doubling, off-center alignment, or a die crack, the combined rarity would elevate its value to extraordinary levels that easily support the $78 million myth. Another intriguing factor is the presence of die polishing marks, mechanical doubling, or metal flow lines caused by repeated die stress. Some 1987 P nickels show unusually deep polishing lines near the portrait, streak-like textures around Monticello, or reflective fields caused by aggressive die resurfacing, and when these polishing marks create unusual shapes or patterns, collectors take great interest, believing that such marks may indicate a brief, transitional die state that produced a very small number of unique coins. Additionally, collectors have noted mild rim distortions on some 1987 P specimens, which may point to misaligned dies or partial collar strikes, errors that occur when the coin is not correctly seated in the striking chamber, resulting in uneven rims or stretched edge lettering. While most of these distortions are minor, the possibility of discovering a fully dramatic partial collar strike or railroad rim example from this year remains part of the coin's lore. The culture surrounding rare coins plays a massive role in shaping the $78 million narrative because digital platforms have the power to turn minor discoveries, rumors, and speculative theories into viral sensations. The 1987 P nickel repeatedly resurfaces in online discussions because its combination of known minor errors, theoretical major errors, and the difficulty of finding high-grade examples creates the perfect storm of mystery, excitement, and hype, making it one of the most talked about modern coins on social media, YouTube channels, collector groups, and auction previews. Another dimension of the legend involves the idea that a transitional or experimental planchet might have been tested during this period, as the U.S. Mint has occasionally used experimental compositions while preparing for future coinage changes, and even though there is no official documentation linking such tests to 1987. The mere possibility of a unique alloy planchet entering the production line fuels endless speculation because a one-of-a-kind composition error would be among the rarest coin mistakes imaginable. As the story of the 1987 P nickel spreads, its mythology grows, inspiring millions of searches and countless comparisons as treasure hunters inspect every detail, from Jefferson's eye and cheekbone to the curvature of the rim, from Monticello's pillars to the spacing of the date, hoping to spot an anomaly that others have missed, and this collective excitement only amplifies the belief that somewhere, hidden in ordinary circulation, might be a once-in-a-lifetime coin capable of rewriting modern numismatic history. So if you ever find a 1987 P nickel, take your time, study every detail, weigh the coin, examine the surfaces, evaluate the strike, check for doubling, inspect the rim, and analyze Monticello carefully because one tiny error, one rare flaw, one perfect condition, or one extraordinary anomaly could transform a simple 5-cent coin into a remarkable treasure that collectors have dreamed about for decades. And if you enjoyed this exploration into the incredible possibilities and astonishing potential value of the 1987 P nickel, make sure to like the video, share it with other treasure hunters, and subscribe for more unbelievable coin stories that may change the way you look at every coin in your pocket. Last 2003 P 5-cent USA coin, where we dive into unbelievable discoveries hidden in everyday pocket change and explore the shocking stories behind ordinary coins that secretly hold extraordinary potential. And today we are uncovering the incredible mystery of the 2003 P 5-cent coin, a Jefferson nickel that has taken the numismatic world by storm because of the astonishing theories, rare possibilities, and dramatic minting errors that have pushed its speculative value into the jaw-dropping territory of $79 million, a number so astonishing that it makes collectors, historians, and treasure hunters question everything they thought they knew about modern American coinage. And as we break down the errors, mistakes, and unusual minting conditions that make the 2003 P nickel so fascinating, you will understand why this seemingly ordinary 5-cent coin has become one of the most discussed modern pieces in the history of collecting, inspiring countless people to search their change, check old jars, review inherited coin stashes, and examine every nickel they come across with renewed excitement. The 2003 P nickel was struck during a period of technological transition and intense production at the Philadelphia Mint, and when the mint operates at high output levels, the chances of minting anomalies increase, creating the kind of environment in which rare errors, strange die conditions, and unusual planchet events can occur. This is why so many collectors believe that the 2003 P nickel may exist in dramatically different forms, some of which could theoretically command values in the highest ranges of modern numismatics. One of the most widely discussed possibilities tied to this coin is doubling, particularly double die varieties, and although no major double die for the 2003 P nickel has been officially catalogued, many collectors have reported subtle doubling on Jefferson's portrait, especially around the eye, the corner of the mouth, the lettering of "In God We Trust," and the curves of the hairline, prompting speculation that a misalignment between the die and hub may have caused slight duplication early in the die's life. If a strong, clear double die were ever discovered, it would instantly become one of the most valuable modern nickel errors in existence, especially in high grade, and this prospect alone continues to inspire countless examinations under magnification as collectors search tirelessly for definitive proof of this elusive variety. Beyond doubling, the 2003 P nickel is known for unusual die wear, die cracks, and die chips that appear more frequently than normal for coins of this era, and several collectors have documented dramatic cracks running through Jefferson's cheek, extending across the rim, or appearing near his collar. The reverse side, displaying Monticello, has also shown cracks near the dome, on the steps, and along the edges of the building, suggesting that certain dies used in 2003 may have sustained structural fatigue during extended use, resulting in visually striking errors that increase collector interest, particularly when the cracks are large, diagonally oriented, or intersecting in rare patterns that make each specimen uniquely valuable. Another category of error that contributes to the high speculative value is off-center striking, which occurs when the planchet is misaligned during the striking process. Dramatic off-center strikes, especially those preserving a clear date and mint mark, are extremely valuable and can command thousands of dollars on their own, and collectors believe that due to the high-speed production conditions in 2003, it is entirely possible that a few significant off-center 2003 P nickels slipped through the mint undetected and entered circulation. If an off-center example were ever discovered in pristine condition, particularly one with a 20 to 50% shift, it could become a headline-worthy find, instantly elevating the value of the coin into the realm of the extraordinary. Wrong planchet errors also contribute to the $79 million legend surrounding this coin, as they occur when a coin intended for one denomination is mistakenly struck on a blank meant for another denomination. While none has been officially confirmed for the 2003 P nickel, collectors speculate that stray dime planchets, cent planchets, or even foreign coin planchets could have entered the striking chamber during production, a possibility amplified by the fact that the U.S. Mint produces coins for multiple countries under special contracts. A 2003 P nickel struck on a dime planchet would be noticeably lighter and smaller, while one struck on a foreign planchet might display unusual coloration or weight variations, and such a discovery would immediately become one of the most valuable mint errors of the decade. Another major factor behind the enormous valuation myth is the quest for the impossible grade, the idea that a theoretical MS-70 2003 P nickel could exist. Coins from this period are often plagued by bag marks, weak strikes, metal flow lines, and minor abrasions that prevent them from achieving perfect grades, and while MS-66 and MS-67 examples occasionally appear, the elusive MS-70 remains a collector's dream, a grade so difficult to attain on modern nickel coinage that the first and only MS-70 specimen would instantly become a multi-million-dollar rarity, drawing national attention from numismatic organizations, professional graders, and high-end collectors who aggressively pursue population 1 coins from modern minting eras. The reverse of the 2003 P nickel, with its detailed depiction of Monticello, also plays a crucial role in the coin's mystique because collectors have long obsessed over the full steps designation, which refers to perfectly defined, uninterrupted lines in the steps of the building. Full steps nickels are exceedingly difficult to strike perfectly because nickel is a hard metal that requires ideal pressure and perfectly prepared dies, and the early 2000s were known for inconsistent striking quality, which makes full steps examples from 2003 rare and valuable. A perfectly preserved full steps 2003 P nickel, especially one showing 6 full steps with strong separation, could already command thousands of dollars, and when combined with an additional error such as doubling, off-center striking, or a die crack, it could create a one-of-a-kind specimen worthy of extraordinary valuation. Another intriguing area involves planchet flaws such as clipped planchets, lamination errors, or incomplete metal bonding. A clipped planchet produces a crescent-shaped missing portion on the coin's edge, and when combined with strong details and a visible date, such errors can be extremely valuable. Lamination errors, caused by impurities or improper bonding in the metal mix, create peeling surfaces, raised textures, and unpredictable patterns that collectors find especially appealing when they appear in dramatic shapes near important design elements such as Jefferson's face or Monticello's dome. And since 2003 planchets were produced during a time of increased industrial demand, some experts argue that metal impurities may have been more common than usual, increasing the theoretical likelihood of striking errors. Die polishing marks also contribute to the fascination surrounding the 2003 P nickel because the mint frequently resurface dies to extend their lifespan, and aggressive polishing can leave streak-like patterns, unusual grooves, reflective fields, or faint distortions on the coin's surface. Some collectors have reported 2003 P nickels with unusually deep polishing lines near Jefferson's cheek, across the field behind his head, and in the space near Monticello's right wall, suggesting that certain dies underwent heavy polishing that altered their appearance in noticeable ways. Such variations, when combined with other errors, significantly enhance the coin's appeal and theoretical value. Even mechanical doubling, caused by die shift during the strike, adds to the mystique of this coin because while mechanical doubling is normally considered less valuable than true double dies, extraordinarily dramatic examples can still attract collector interest, especially when the doubling affects the date, mint mark, or prominent inscriptions. Collectors have noted that some 2003 P nickels display flattened doubling on the lettering, raising the possibility that more dramatic examples may exist. Another potential source of rarity lies in partial collar strikes, sometimes called railroad rim errors, which occur when the planchet is not fully seated within the collar during the strike, producing a distinct ridge around part of the coin's edge. While common in certain years, partial collar errors for 2003 nickels remain rare enough to generate excitement whenever they appear, and a sharply defined, perfectly preserved partial collar strike for this year could command significant attention.